This week hasn't quite gone to plan. Money's very tight. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I have decided to film my weekly check-in and my next week's budget all in one video this week because I'm super short on time. I've had a very long week at work. I'm exhausted, kind of sick of my own voice, and so yeah, I thought I'd go through all of it. So this is going to be check-in from the second week of my March budget, and I will show you my budget for next week as well. I've had some of the most bizarre expenses this week, including a pair of shoes for my son because we went out and I forgot that he got in the car without shoes on, and then I tried to get him out of the car to go somewhere, so I had to buy him some shoes. I do this sort of stuff all the time. Okay, so this is last week's budget. Look at all the scribbles. I definitely need to invest in one of those pens that you can rub out that everybody uses, or Tipex. Maybe Tipex is the answer. I've had to go back over this a few times because right at the end of the week I had a couple of changes which were positive for my budget but not so positive for my lovely book here. I was going to do a video on this book and take everyone through it, but I have now heard that the Budget Mum isn't actually going to be printing and selling physical books next year, so you will not be able to get hold of one in future, and she'll be selling the digital versions, but there's so many of the digital versions online. So I would just recommend going to Etsy if you're keen on this and having a look at budget. You can type in budget by paycheck or budget trackers, all sorts of things. There's digital ones you can download. I've also seen some that you can buy that the seller will print off and send to you. This week I've actually seen Budget with Ira has brought out a little booklet, and that looks really nice. It's got all these different little bits in it, some stickers, and it's a nice small booklet, and you can do your budgets on the different pages. So I would recommend going and checking that out if you are keen on getting something to track your budget. I do have a spreadsheet that I do, which I can take you through another time, but I like to do my overall month on a spreadsheet and then the daily and weekly tracking by pen. I just find actually writing it makes me so much more aware of what I'm doing. And to be honest with you, if I look at apps and the computer screen, I will be distracted by something else. I have ADHD anyway, but yeah, I just get distracted and forget what I'm supposed to be doing. A little bit like now. Anyway, let's go through. So I had planned to have £300 variable income, 1,200 carryover. I forgot to plan my sinking funds in, but I did use some sinking funds, so I've listed them in my actual income, and I've got variable twice because what happened is I planned to have £300, and let me see if I can zoom you in a little bit more. As the week was going on, I decided to just try and be really tight with myself and not pay myself from my sideline business. So I decided not to make a payment from my business, but I later then got £30, which was actually from selling my clothes on Depop, and then I got another £60 just today, which was like a commission from one of the brands that I have a link for. So I got £30 from selling and £60 as commission. So I've included those as variables, but I didn't pay myself from my actual business account, if you see what I mean. And I just didn't pay myself because I thought I would go another week without trying to pay myself. I'm probably going to have to pay myself next week, but I was just trying to stretch it for as long as possible. So then I had therapy come out, and that was what part of the sinking funds was to cover. So budgeted 105, actual was 105. Cleaner budgeted 50 and it was 50. Virgin Media, I forgot to budget it and it came out and it was 47. And Spotify I have signed up to more recently, so that's £14, and I hadn't budgeted for that. I think because when I did this budget I wasn't paying for Spotify. But the kids are really into some music at the moment from various films, so the kids love it, and I obviously love listening to music, and I was getting to the point where I wasn't turning music on because I didn't want to hear the adverts, so I just decided to pay for Spotify. Used to have an amazing collection of music, but it kind of went with my ex. So car payment also came out. I've just had a few problems with my car payment. I was moving it from one bank to another, so I wasn't expecting it to come out here, but it was okay because I had the money put to one side for that anyway. It was part of the carryover. So then coming down here, I basically had planned to spend £155 on bills and ended up spending £354, which left me with 1,091 rather than the 1,345 because I had an overspend, but I also underpaid myself up here. So carried over the 1,091 down to here. I did put exactly as I intended in my cash envelopes. So 50 to food, 20 to petrol, 10 to spending. So that's £80 in total, leaving me 1,011 after I had done my cash envelopes. So then I was due to carry over 1,050, and you can see I've changed it so many times because extra money came in, but I have now carried over 1,011. So that is under what I had planned to carry over, which is why I was saying I will have to pay myself next week, which is absolutely fine because I have money in my business, so I can pay myself. And sinking funds, I'd planned to put £100 into my sinking funds, and I've just decided not to because, well, partly I have less money because I didn't pay myself, but it's fine. I've just decided not to stuff my sinking funds. And yeah, so carrying over 1,011. And then also down here, originally I had planned to put 115 into family holiday, which is obviously zero because I haven't quite carried over the full amount that I wanted to. So as you can see, it's not exactly as I planned. I'm ending up with less money, and I haven't put in sinking funds and I haven't put in family holiday, but partly that's because some of my bills came out earlier and I decided not to pay myself. So obviously when I decided not to pay myself, that decision was with the fact that I wouldn't be putting into sinking funds and I wouldn't be putting into family holiday in mind. It might seem like an odd choice to some, but I have, with my self-employed work, it goes up and down, and so whilst I can afford to pay myself that, I just thought I'd give it another week and see what else comes in. I sometimes get big contracts, little contracts, they come and go. I did have a couple of things cancelled that I was working on at any time, like with what's happened in the last few years. The market's very reactive, so with everything that's going on at the moment, some things have been paused and cancelled, and so my gross income for my business isn't as high as I was expecting it to be, so I thought I would just try and delay this payment. But obviously I'm very fortunate that I have got my full-time employment, but the reason I was starting to pay myself from my variable and my freelance work is because I have taken a pay cut in my full-time employment. So that is how last week went. So moving on to where my expenses were. So that was my bills, and here I've tracked my expenses. So this is usually things that I'm using my sinking funds for. So I did a big Ocado shop using up the rest of my balance in my food sinking fund. I've actually got a video on that. I will put a little thing up here if you want to look at the video. I had lunch out with a friend. You took all the money from social, took all the money from spending and a little bit from miscellaneous, plus travel to get there. It was an expensive lunch, but it was a friend I haven't seen for a very long time, and it was really worth it. It was such a lovely, lovely thing to do. Petrol, people have been asking me, I finally put £40 into my car, and I was really pleased that did actually almost fill the tank. I made £30 on Depop, like I said. I had home insurance come out of my bank account, which wasn't the plan. So this will be one of the bills going forward, but I had it as an expense here. I, obviously having remortgaged and taken over the property, I wanted to take my ex off of the home insurance, and it was actually more complicated and costly to do that than it was to just cancel and start a new one. So this is the first payment for a new one. My old one has actually sent me a cheque for £51.37 because I'd already paid for that one this month as well, and obviously that must be some of the previous month because it's more than I pay per month. But sadly they've sent the cheque with my ex's name on it, so I'm either going to have to try and negotiate with them. Both of our names are on the account, so they should be able to send one to me, but yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to receive that money. £4 for my milk delivery, which was received this week, so that's good. Therapy was the 105 that obviously I took out of the sinking fund for therapy. I spent £30 on some stuff from Amazon for my children's school project, leaving £15 in the school envelope. I had to buy some shoes for my son because I took him out and hadn't realised that he didn't put his shoes on, because we were just going out briefly in the car. We ended up going much further afield, and we actually went here to get to a cake shop to have coffee and cake to celebrate some good news my sister had. So it was me, my sister and the kids, but I took my son without any shoes by accident, so I had to quickly buy him those shoes. But it's fine because it came out of the clothing sinking fund and there's still 90 left in there. This was the £60 that I made from an app called Chip. So I can leave a link down below. Basically, it is an automatic savings account. So it works out how much you can save from your main bank account and then it kind of transfers it. I have like a referral code, and when I share the referral code, I get some money back. Sometimes that's £20 per person, sometimes it's £10. But as I say, I can leave a link below if anybody's interested. Then I had the days out, that was me paying for cake and coffee for my kids and my sister. And then £4 for parking for the same thing. So that was all of my spending. So if we can have a look at next week's budget. This is next week's budget. Okay, so really tight again this week. I have got down that I will pay myself £150 variable, skipping the 300 that I was due to pay myself last week and just paying myself the 150 this week. Carryover was due to be 1,050, but I know now obviously that it's going to be 1,011, and I'm taking 150 from sinking funds. So this week I've got my mortgage to come out, 50 for the cleaner, which is coming from sinking funds. My phone is £20, and I did have water down because I did this budget at the beginning of March, but when my water bill came through I decided to pay it in full, and I used money from my emergency fund to do that because my emergency fund is in quite a good place and I felt comfortable taking that out for now. So I paid the whole year's water in full, so I shouldn't have to pay that bill, which is helpful now that I had a few other bills come out. There's no council tax again this month, but I have booked to have an odd box, which is fruit and veg. I might have a code for that actually. So if I have a code, I'll put that in the subscription as well. Because, you know, when you first sign up to these things, you quite often get some money off. And this is the first time I'm trying it out for fruit and veg. So I've put that in the actual because I hadn't originally planned it when I did these calculations. It's just something that I've booked and ordered recently. So the bills are roughly 1,046, carrying over 300. I'm putting 50 into food, and that is it for sinking funds. Like I said, I have just topped up my petrol. I might struggle on the whole spending because I am out. There's nothing left in those folders, but I'm going to just have to have a really tight week and just focus on things that we absolutely need. I get paid from my day job at the end of this week, so it's the last week before a larger pay packet. So £50 on these cash envelopes, carrying over around 250, £100 into sinking funds. And then this here was actually my car payment, but if you remember, my car payment came out a little bit early, so that's good. That's one of the things from this week that I won't have to pay. So I feel like if this week goes to plan, if I pay myself the variable income and I use my sinking funds for the things that I was planning on using it for, I may well be able to stuff my sinking funds a little bit this week, because we're kind of there. We're kind of at the end of all of the bills for the month. So yeah, that's what this week looks like. I'll be interested to see what happens, particularly because I'll show you actually. I'll zoom you out a little bit. This is my spending binder. So you can see here, food, nothing. Petrol is empty. Travel's got 10. Spending's got nothing. Social's got nothing. Days out's got nothing. Miscellaneous has got nothing. And then that's due to go back to the bank for where I've spent on my card, but it's come out of one of these cash budgets. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Let's see if we can do it. I'm sure we can. We've done it before. So that is next week's budget. Oh, actually, let's do my £50 my £50 cash stuffing. So 20, 40 and 50. And this is a really good example of showing you guys what I do. So because I've got a bit of a buffer in my bank account, I'll take this out. If I use my bank account, I'll take this out of whichever place it belongs to. So petrol, I actually always pay with cash, but I'll take it out of that envelope, put it in back to bank. But then in reality, I don't actually always go to the bank and put this money in the bank. I then just use it for the following week's cash stuffing rather than retaking money back out of the bank. So that's a really good example of that because people have asked. So that's £50 there, which I'm going to put into my food envelope. And if I then used on my card, I would just still take that money out. But with food, I probably will pay with cash as well. So that's my cash stuffing for the week. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. As always, really appreciate anybody who subscribes, likes, comments, all of that. Really, really, really appreciate it. And I am, as you can probably tell, really trying to keep up with more content and more videos. So yeah, I've got the weekend at home with the kids mostly this weekend, and I will film a couple more videos, probably about broader things. You guys really liked my goals video, so I've got a couple of things like that coming up as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.